Oh man, I'm really excited to be chatting to our next guest here. We obviously are about to kick off World Mental Health Day. We observe that tomorrow. And we are this morning joined by an incredible 31-year-old Remy Kloos, who became an extreme high-altitude mountain climber in her bid to tackle, to maybe assimilate, embrace her own anxiety disorder. So she's made the very brave, slightly crazy decision to do the 7 summits. And she's self-funding the process, which has got to be quite an anxious process all in itself, but she is taking on one of the greatest challenges, I think, of the modern era, something that defies logic, yes, but it's the great equalizer. I think once you've been able to experience this, it puts you in a very elite field, and especially women as young as you embracing this. So Remy, welcome. You are awesome. You've brought the most cool gear with us, some boots that everyone's like, wow. But I think thank you so much for putting this message out there. There are so many of us dealing with varying ranges on the spectrum of anxiety disorders, mental disorders, some unclassified. Most importantly, the big question, why are you doing what you are doing?
Thank you for having me, Graham.
Absolute pleasure.
Yes, like you so rightly said, I suffered from severe anxiety for most of my 20s, and I reached an all-time low in my life. And I realized I did not want to go back to that dark place. So I needed to set myself a challenge to put life into perspective, a challenge so big that it helped me realize my true strength. So I took myself to Kilimanjaro, and standing on the roof...
As one does.
Standing on the roof of Africa, I was just fueled with this electric energy. And from that moment, I knew I had this soulful connection to the mountains and to something so much bigger than me. And I'm so driven to use my high-altitude mountaineering as this message of empowerment, whether it's empowering the youth, women, or all those who suffer from mental health issues. Because like you so rightly said, you know, so many people do suffer from this disease. And it's not life-defining. You know, we can still get through it, but so that's why, like I said, I just want to use this high-altitude mountaineering as this platform to share this bigger message.
For those that are struggling with anxiety right now, how did it feel? What was it like when you felt overwhelmed by that? And for a long time, you said throughout your 20s, what was that experience like?
Yeah, so it actually first started as depression when I was in my late teens, and that was a darkness that just consumed every fiber of my being. But I managed to work my way through the darkness, and then I describe anxiety as this crippling conductor, you know, dictating my moods, my emotions, my feelings, and holding me back from being the most authentic version of me that I so long to be. So I lived in this world of comfort zones, and that's why this high-altitude mountaineering, it's almost counterintuitive, but by pushing myself outside my comfort zone, by letting fear being that compass guiding me forward, it's been the biggest help for my anxiety.
There is something liberating about giving yourself over to a process like that, but you're not just walking off into the distance. There is a huge amount of training, very specific training that comes into play with the high altitude.
Yes.
But how do you prepare yourself for these challenges? What's the next big challenge as well?
So preparation, I always like to have fun. I'm a fun, very positive human, so that's always at the key of my training. So I'll go up Table Mountain, up Platte Clip with my 25 kg backpack. I'll do yoga, I'll run, I'll spin. I've never been a big athlete, Graham. That's also the beautiful thing about this journey, is this has only entered my life for 3 years now. I was never a huge athlete, always adventurous. So dreams can come into your life at any point, you know, at any point. And more training, yeah, I just like to take a holistic approach to my training. I also like to train the mind, do things that I don't want to do, don't like to do. Cold water swims. It's great for training the mind. And next up was meant to be a mountain called Carson's Pyramid in Papua, but there's been major civil unrest there at the moment, so it's likely to be postponed to the end of the year. But Mount Everest is coming up early next year.
It terrifies me to think of Mount Everest at the moment. We know there has been, it's become kind of, there is a buzz around it. A lot of mountaineers wanting to conquer this greatest of mountains. Let's be honest, it's got the title. I know there are maybe a one higher peak, but there is something truly magical. How does it make you feel to look back to 3 years ago to now? You've just said, oh, and then it's Everest next year.
Yes.
Did you ever think in your life that you would be climbing Mount Everest?
You know, I don't overthink things. It just is a process and a flow in my life that feels so right. And being in that environment, I've never felt so at home than ever before. The people that you start the expedition with strangers, but after day one, it's family. Everyone is there to offer help. Kindness is a language that knows no, culture, knows no. There are no boundaries behind that language, and that's just so beautiful. And kindness is spoken with so much enthusiasm up on the hills, and it's just a really beautiful environment. And fear is not something that consumes me when I climb. It really isn't. I trust my judgment, and I trust the people I climb with, and that's a big thing. But it's a feeling I can't quite describe. And when you reach that mountain summit, you feel so completely broken, but so beautifully whole at the same time. It's just very few words can actually put into my emotions.
Stay safe. All the best of luck with the remaining summits. And most importantly, don't stop using your voice to connect with others that have suffered or currently are struggling with mental and anxiety disorders. That's such a powerful thing that you're doing. And enjoy it. Most importantly,
Yes.
just enjoy it. You can follow at Remy Kloos online. You can see how this high-altitude mountaineer is quite literally living her authentic life with every step.